Hey guys, I forgot and left the overhead light on. Can y'all hear that? Big thunderstorm. I love thunderstorms. Hang on, let me turn the light off. Don't look at my big old butt. Oh. Ooh. Woo! You see my eyes glowing. Ooh. Okay, gang. It's time for more of Chapter 16. Tomorrow I'm going to get on and either be making stitch markers after I pay some doggone bills. I got to get stuff done. Here's my little group. Hanging out on the baby blanket. Well, I made this for my cousin, and then I got the other yarn, and if I can get it whipped up, I'm gonna... Woo, Sawyer's getting lost in the sauce. He's so little. These are just the cutest things ever. Y'all, I love my squirrels. Oh, look. He's got his legs crossed. I swear I didn't do that. Is that not cute? Merle's comfortable. He crossed his legs. Oh, there's baby Sawyer. Baby Sawyer. And Rocky. I just love Rocky's tail. He's like me. He's got a wildness about him. And of course, Nutty Buddy. He's sweet too. All of them sweet. And can't forget our Sammy back here. I always got to mash Sammy's tail down. He wants to jump off the wall and join these other ones down here. And I better start reading or we're going to run out of time. Okay, Chapter 16 is a long one. We still got a couple more pages. Okay, I had just said Spirit of the Night had gone by. There was a pause. Now a weird flash turned night into day and showed every little grass blade, separate and distinct, that grew about their feet. And it showed 3 white startled faces too, a deep peal of thunder. Thunder, that's your cue. Went rolling and tumbling down the heavens and lost itself in sullen rumblings in the distance. A sweep of chilly air passed by, rustling all the leaves and snowing the flaky ashes broadcast about the fire. Another fierce glare lit up the forest, and an instant crash followed that seemed to tend the treetops right over the boys' heads. They clung together in terror in the thick gloom that followed. A few big raindrops fell pattering upon the leaves. Can't wait till my grandbabies are going to be here either Sunday or Monday. They're going to be sitting right here, or right here with me while I read. Quick, boys, go for the tent, exclaimed Tom. They sprang away, stumbling over roots and among vines in the dark, no two plunging in the same direction. A furious blast roared through the trees, making everything sing as it went. One blinding flash after another came, and peal on peal of deafening thunder. And now a drenching rain poured down, and the rising hurricane drove it in sheets along the ground. The boys cried out to each other, but the roaring wind and the booming thunder blast drowned their voices utterly. However, one by one they straggled in at last and took shelter under the tent, cold, scared, and streaming with water. But to have company in misery seemed something to be grateful for. They could not talk. The old sail flapped so furiously, even if the other noises would have allowed them. The tempest rose higher and higher, and presently the sail tore loose from its fastenings and went winging away on the blast. The boys seized each other's hands and fled, with many tumblings and bruises, to the shelter of a great oak that stood upon the river bank. Now the battle was at its highest. Under the ceaseless conflagration of lightning that flamed in the skies, everything below stood out in clean-cut and shadowless distinctiveness. The bending trees, the billowing river, white with foam, the driving spray of spume flakes, the dim outlines of the high bluffs on the other side, glimpsed through the drifting cloud rack and the slanting veil of rain. Every little while some giant tree yielded the fight and fell crashing through the younger growth, and in the unflagging thunder peals came now in ear-splitting explosive bursts, keen and sharp and unspeakably appalling. The storm culminated in one matchless effort that seemed likely to tear the island to pieces, burn it up, drown it to the treetops, blow it away, and deafen every creature on it. All at one, and in the same moment, it was a wild night for homeless young lads to be out in. It was a wild night. But at last the battle was done, and the forces retired with weaker and weaker threatenings and grumblings. Peace resumed her sway. The boys went back to camp, a good deal awed, but they found there was still something to be thankful for, because the great sycamore, the shelter of their beds, was a ruin now, blasted by the lightnings, and they were not under it when the catastrophe happened. Everything in camp was drenched, the campfire as well, for they were but heedless lads, like their generation, and had made no provision against rain. Here was a matter for dismay, for they were soaked through and chilled. They were eloquent in their distress, but they presently discovered that the fire had eaten so far up under the great log it had been built against, where it curved upward and separated itself from the ground, that a handbreadth or so of it had escaped wetting. So they patiently wrought until, with shreds and bark gathered from the undersides of the sheltered logs, they coaxed the fire to burn again. Then they piled on great dead boughs till they had a roaring furnace, and were glad-hearted once more. They dried their boiled ham, boiled ham, and had a feast. And after that they sat by the fire and expanded and glorified their midnight adventure until morning, for there was not a dry spot to sleep on anywhere around. As the sun began to steal in upon the boys, drowsiness came over them, and they went out on the sandbar and lay down to sleep. They got scorched out by and by, and drearily set about getting breakfast. After the meal, they felt rusty and stiff-jointed and a little homesick once more. Tom saw the signs and fell to cheering up the pirates as well as he could, but they cared nothing for marbles or circus or swimming or anything. He reminded them of the imposing secret and raised a ray of cheer. While it lasted, he got them interested in a new device. This was to knock off being pirates for a while and be Indians for a change. They were attracted by this idea, so it was not long before they stripped and striped from head to heel with black mud like so many zebras, all of them chiefs, of course. And then they went tearing through the woods to attack an English settlement. By and by they separated into 3 hostile tribes and darted upon each other from ambush with dreadful war whoops, and killed and scalped each other by thousands. It was a gory day. Consequently, it was an extremely satisfactory one. They assembled in camp toward supper time, hungry and happy, but now a difficulty arose. Hostile Indians could not break the bread of hospitality together without first making peace. Excuse me. And this was a simple impossibility without smoking a pipe of peace. Oh, no. There was no other process that had ever been heard of. 2 of the savages almost wished they had remained pirates. Tom and Joe. They got sick smoking earlier. However, there was no other way, so with such show of cheerfulness as they could muster, they called for the pipe and took their whiff as it passed in due form. And behold, they were glad they had gone into savagery, for they gained something. They found that they could now smoke a little without having to go and hunt for a lost knife. They didn't get sick enough to be seriously uncomfortable. They were not likely to fool away this high promise for lack of effort. No, they practiced cautiously after supper with right fair success. And so they spent a jubilant evening. They were prouder and happier in their new acquirement than they would have been in scalping and skinning of the Six Nations. We will leave them to smoke and chatter and brag, since we have no further use of them at present. And the Six Nations, it says, the 5 nations or tribal regions of the Iroquois Indians and the nation of the Tuscarora tribe. And it says that's a lot of Indians. Okay, now we're at chapter 17. But I think I'm going to stop here and just... Well, it's very short. But I was just going to show you some... I feel bad not showing fiber sometimes. And I had shown y'all this, but then that was one of those that got cut off one time. I know I'm never showing you anything that I get finished. So, this isn't finished, but it's about half done. This was supposed to be, and maybe y'all did get to see it. I can't remember what goes through and what doesn't. It's Miami Dolphin colors, right? It's for my Florida daughter and her family, and I really need to work on this. And these are some really nice needles. These are some Addies I had picked up, and I don't have many of those. Addie needles, likey. I call them likey. Other people say licky. They're, I think, Swedish or something. They're fancy dancy needles, which doesn't matter what you use as long as it does the job. And the yarn is nothing special as far as being soft or anything. It's not. It's that Craft Smart from Michael's, but it'll soften up upon washing. And this is the Feather and Fan pattern. I love it when people say pattern, don't you? It's a pattern. And I got the pattern off of a Bernat blanket thing. And it's just, but it's just Feather and Fan. If you look up Feather and Fan pattern. This one's called the Ripple Blanket. And of course it is knit. And you're supposed to have 4 colors, but I'm just used 3. The only thing about this is, look at these ends, would you? When you change colors. I would much rather use cake yarn and let the cake do all the color changing. I don't mind the changing of them. It's all these ends to weave in. And I think I showed y'all. See, I started weaving in ends back here. Madonna would be mad because you don't weave in ends as you go. And I don't know why she thinks that, because that's Madonna, the smart thing to do. Then you ain't got them all to do at the end, especially when you got as many as these. But to each their own, to each their own. So these were woven in and not a very good job, but this is the back of it because it makes it all bulky. I go this way and then I go back that way. So I did do a little bit there, and you can see where I left off. And then I thought I'd get smart and try to carry it up the side, and it's okay, but I thought it looked kind of tacky. I'm sure there's a better way to carry it than I did, but I did like I thought I was supposed to. So I don't have ends there, and then I wasn't liking the way that looked, so I just started with this again. But I may go back to this because I still got half a blanket to do. And this is just a, you know, just a throw. And my son-in-law actually asked for this about 3 years ago. But you know, anything that's I love this, and it's not hard. But anything that's a pattern that I've got to keep up with is just, I don't know. Y'all know me. I'm from one thing to another, to another, to another. But at least I know where it is, and I got the pattern with it and the yarn with it. What? Totally unlike me and my ADD self. Well, I'm beyond 15 minutes now, and to whomever, and I know who you are, I just can't think your name right now because you did tell me that I should. Seems like it was Jeannie Peterson, but I could be wrong. Said to verify my account, and then I would be able to record more than the 15 minutes. I mean, you can look back at some of my videos, and some of them are longer. I just go until it cuts off, and then it immediately goes into the upload thing. You know, I do have to stop and put the title and stuff on, but that's it. So I don't know what YouTube or what I'm doing wrong. I always blame it on YouTube or somebody else. Oops, I forgot to put my storytelling scarf on. I do love the scarf, Lisa. And Jane and Sue, y'all just the best subbies in the world. And did y'all see today? I got more Happy Mail. I got charms from Susie. I called her Sudie or something. I thought that it was Susan Mullet, because she was in Heidi's Hangout a while ago. She gave me the charms, so I'll be making stitch markers for me from those. And what else did I get? Oh, I got my prize, my yarn bowl, and all from Mama Hodge. And did y'all see, and then I'm going to go, did y'all see that Freddie Mercury diamond painting that Mama Hodge did for Crystal? I have never seen Crystal so emotional. She just broke down. And that was sweet. And you know, Crystal does all this giving, and I just assumed that other people gave her stuff all the time, but she says not. So you know what? Maybe we ought to start. I'm going to at least send her some stitch markers with the hook sizes on there. I can at least do that. No, I hadn't never won, but that don't matter. With all those people, I don't expect to. If I do one day, that'd be great. But like I say, she's got so many, and I'm tickled for her. She ought to have more than she does with all the tutorials and stuff that she does. She sure has helped me. That's all I got to say. And I will stop there. And that's all I got to say. I love y'all. And I can't wait to see my babies. My babies that ain't babies no more, but they'll always be my babies. Manager Bells and her assistant, and the assistant manager, her little sister Jules, and their mom, Lindsay, my sweet red-headed, blue-eyed Lindsay. And then Hannah, my youngest child, will be here. Like I said, the only one I'll be missing will be Andrea, and then she'll come to see her dad in August, she told me. I talked to her. I believe she came down around sometime in June, because I believe she was up for a wedding. Well, I said I was going to go, and here I am still jawing. That's another word, jawing. Talking, jawing. Okay, love y'all a whole bunch. Help me out with, you know what, if you can. But I'm pickled tink that I have y'all. Y'all just don't leave me. I'll try to get better with my stuff. get better with my my brain. My ADDness, my editing and all that stuff. I need to go to school for editing. Tina, I'm just going to start doing this for Tina, Crafts by the Rose. Love y'all. Mwah. To my babies and my young'uns and to all you guys. Be sweet and don't be what? That's right. Don't be ugly. Love y'all. Bye.